Here we go. It's the return of GUA. And he's joined by Hart. That's right, we're going to have England versus the HRE. This is a fun matchup to watch. We've seen this a few times now, and it's kind of intriguing because we've noticed the HRE players have pivoted hard. Remember the opening weeks of the game? Everyone complained about how HRE lacked any flexibility. They were stagnant. You know, there's no point building an archery range. And then finally, HRE players start to go, oh, there is a point in building an archery range. My economy's better early on, so I can actually just build more archers. And that's pretty interesting in this matchup, specifically against the English. Because remember, England is basically just like all about the longbow rush, right? They spam them out non-stop. So HRE players have started to counter that by basically sustaining output from free archery ranges at a very early point in the game. And remember, guys, that makes you highly competitive because that means you're producing essentially an archer every 5 seconds compared to the 7-second production time of the longbowman, courtesy of that council hall, which the English always get on their tech up into feudal. And when I say always, I mean always, right? Some people have argued that certain landmarks suck or are weak. I think none list worse right now for feudal tech ups than the Abbey of the Kings, I believe it is, the one that heals units nearby. It is a giant steaming pile of crap. It's actually incorrectly named. Abbey of Kings is too flashy of a name, right? Abbey of Dogs is more appropriate because there is nothing but absolute dog crap inside it, right? And that's why we never see it. In fact, anyone who tries to argue me there's a worse landmark, I can't think of one off the top of my head. So please enlighten me. I know some people, some Delhi players go Tower of Victory. And that's, I'll give you Tower of Victory is wonky as all hell right now. It's bugged, and that does make it a little bit crappy. But it's a permanent attack speed buff. And also, once that gets fixed, it's going to be 10 times better than Abbey of Kings. Abbey of Kings maybe will one day have a use if someone aggressively drops it in an opponent's base. Here's the problem with that flow, folks. If you drop an Abbey of the Kings in someone's base, well, one, how did you get there? How long did that take to build? Two, where's your military force to utilize that in the enemy base? You see, the problems already just mount themselves, right? So don't ever expect to see it. Even on island maps, I see players build Council Hall instead. Speaking of Council Halls, there we go. Maybe this just speaks to the modern history of my country, right? It's like a message. Council over kings. Although we still have a queen, you know, we are ran by a government, parliament, one of the first modern countries to do it. What can I say? We're just hard in on that council. Meanwhile, on the other side, Hut, all about that religion. Hasn't smashed up just yet. Hut looks like he chose to invest heavily onto the dock front. Something that the English player didn't do. An interesting choice as well, because if Hut is quick enough of this, he could cut off the crossing. Remember, Mongolian Heights, the most important detail is this river. This river decides so many games, even when it doesn't feature Delhi right now. We see both sides always playing heavily into it. Surprising that GUA chose to forgo it entirely suggests to me that he's going for a very aggressive timing immediately off the boom up into feudal. So he just wants to push out longbowmen as much as possible. In the meantime, I like to see this. I was ripping my hair out earlier when we saw a top 500 HRE player not open with a prelate. I won't give the names. I'm sure you can figure it out if you watch the videos. I just think you should never, ever, ever forgo the prelate. Like, the exception is I will allow you to wait until up to 10 villages, maybe 9. But you need to prelate out by then, because that's when he has maximum efficiency, right? That's the kind of cutoff point. But in general, the ramp up, the value, like, it's a 40% increase, for goodness sake. And he's able to hold up to 10 villages. He pays for himself almost right away. Oh, look at this play. The outpost drop from Hart. This opening is so good. And GUA, he's moving 5 villages out now. 5 villages, 5 seconds too late to really do anything. With this many villages here, he'll be able to complete this. There's no way to stop it. He brought them out because, remember, you have bows with these villies. It's not good enough, though. They're going to garrison and force you away. So the crossing is now guarded, and this is awkward as GUA. Right, you're England. You build longbowmen. Longbowmen incredibly slow. You did not want to be forced to run round to the sides to then wrap around again to reach your opponent's base. This is now going to allow the wall up, as we see, and I wouldn't be surprised if Hut quickly moves to the south and the north and walls these up too, knowing that his opponent can't really do anything to stop him. And in fact, Hut, is he almost ready now? Hut sacrificing a lot on the food front here. So not ready just yet, but give him a minute. He'll be up into the feudal, and then he'll be able to have control of the seas. And remember, you're England. You're just building a longbowman. What the hell do you do against galleys other than die? I'll say you do at least have range on them, but if they pull back and bait you in at all, you're going to lose your units. And also, 2 longbowmen, not enough to really pressure these fishing boats. You see he doesn't even bother at the moment. Yeah, that's... It's quite pathetic to watch, isn't it? Next to no damage being done. So HuT still sacrificing a lot. The reason he doesn't have much food, by the way, he hard invested into wood, right? And now he's like dropping so many outposts, dropping a second one back at base, dropped one on the forward here, had a palisade as well, has put down the dock, and then the fishing fleet. That's where all his early economy is gone. And that's why you can see he's got surplus gold, but he's just waiting on the food at all times to be able to tech up. And I wouldn't be surprised if he forces a lot of people into this food line now just to fix that. I love how when you start building these houses, they kind of look like a ram. It's like, what the hell? New unit, Bog. Yeah. In the meantime, Scout's going to stab out the straggler longbowmen. These longbowmen are somewhat pressuring the fishing boats, but not really good enough. As you can see, they can just take a few shots and back away. And then if you just micro to repair these, they shouldn't ever get sunk. Scouts should be garrisoning this, by the way. You want to make sure that the longbow can never get in range. So you should keep them close enough to always be in the outpost. And there you go. So now this gets wonky for GUA. GUA still hasn't chosen to flank. He's trying to pressure the food eco in the center, which means that HuT is free to do what he wants back at base. It's funny because he even was paranoid that he was going to get attacked there, right? He even dropped down this outpost just in case. But now with the outpost garrison, you see like you have to wrap all the way around every time. And this should allow HuT to comfortably get up. Now you can see he's got the required resources, ridiculous surplus in fact. And this is good because it means once the tech up's complete, he's immediately going to be able to field 1 or 2 of these galleys. In the meantime, needs to be careful, though, losing a few of these fishing boats. Count is increasing, now up to 9. And, well, turns out outposts have full power of the water, guys. It's a water unit now. I think that bottom floor is a little bit flooded. Maybe it has a little bit of a sinking issue over the coming years, but for the time being, it will stand true for the HRE. And yeah, now it's a little bit wonky. He needs to actually heal these fishing boats for each other. There you go. Really just a definition of sucking each other off in Age of Empires form, isn't it? There we go. The 69ing of ships will keep them healthy for the moment, but there's just too many longbowmen now. So I think it's going to halt production of fishing boats at the moment and look to get 1 or 2 aggressive ships out to protect him. But almost done with this. Arkham Chapel, 7 people working on it. GUA, pressure's been reasonable so far, but you just see how limited he is. Like, where does he go from here? He has to run all the way around. I'm kind of surprised that HuT never moved out to wall this up. He has got a second dock. This needs to be walled right now. Like, GUA should be pressuring up top. I'm surprised he hasn't. I think a trick has been missed by both of these players right now. However, this trick will hurt GUA more, and that's why he moves to the south. So he is across now. Now, if I'm HuT, I just drop a stable and get a few horsemen out. It could cause pure anarchy for GUA here. You can already see a galley is being produced, and it will run right through these longbowmen quite quickly, so don't blink or you might miss it. But the problem's back in base. The pressure's coming in. And, well, arrow slit's almost researched. 10 seconds until the galley is out, but this small attack force could do a lot of damage. I'm really surprised HuT didn't prep for this. Was he producing... Yes, that's why. He's producing a galley in the north. If he didn't do this, he would have been fine. There you go. Galley comes out. And we'll start to just blitz straight through these longbowmen. We'll force them back. Remember, you don't have the range, though. It's 5 tile range compared to the 7. So you still could be attacked. But if you keep baiting your opponent to come close to the shore, you'll be able to snipe them out slowly. And it looks like after all that time, this outpost might finally pay off for HuT. As GUA will struggle to reach the wood line. And that's the big deal. If he reaches the wood line, if he shuts him out there, he shuts out the game. Because it means you're not able to control the straits anymore, as you're not getting galleys out. But no dice. Instead... I'll lose 1 or 2 of these longbowmen again. No way through here. Nice wall block in, but not quick enough. And now, well, it looks like GUA is going to get on the water. So he tried to get across in time. The galley wasn't in position. He stopped the walls from going up to block him out. But it does mean that galleys now can be pushed out. And I do expect that HuT is going to try to ramp out more of these attack ships, these archer ships rather, to ensure that he always has the quantity to fight right under the dock here. But right now, only 1. And I think there should be an edge for his opponent as well, right? Is a black? No blacksmith. Okay. So at least he doesn't have to worry about that, because this could have been a blacksmith research, and with those burst attacks, it would have been a bigger edge on the home field for GUA. But instead, HuT unable to sink him here. He has at least offset the aggression, though. Longbows have given up. flooding back here. GUA, second group of longbowmen in, and yeah, I think he did actually just cancel it in the end. So no intent to get a second one out. He does do the stables, though. I'm a big fan of this. We said we wanted this, right? Not only one, but two. HuT is fantastic at this. His timings have been supreme. Usually what he does is he drops 1 or 2 stables, preps for a Castle Age boom, and then when Castle Age arrives, he gets up to 4 stables, pushing out a mixture of horsemen and knights. Really could actually just sink the dreams of GUA in this game. And now GUA looking to sink something else. He's moving up. HuT, his economy's exposed, right? Wears it on his sleeve. And soon, it is going to be keeping the bottom of the ocean busy. There's a few crabs down there that want some company, so the shipwrecks will be nice for them. Give them some toys to play around with. Yeah, he just pulled this galley to complete the back. I'm kind of surprised there. He could engage on this one and win now against that galley, even when it has home field prepared, but not moving for it. Kind of a big mistake. I don't know what HuT's doing right now. Distracted elsewhere, I guess. Yeah, he's microing the fishing boats, but missed opportunity here to sink one. He could have sunk it and then moved beyond and got his galley back home where it would be repaired. But instead, longbow's continuing to pressure on the fishing boat line. And HuT still not building any units out of these stables. So yeah, he's holding everything in prep for the knights. He doesn't even care about horsemen now. It's just gold that needs to be soared, food a little bit, and then he's good to go. The problem is the initial influx required, right? He needs to keep food income up on the water, and it's just completely denied. And now it's 2-1 on the galley count. Even with the assistance of the outpost, I don't necessarily like this for HuT. He's lost most of the fishing fleet. He hasn't rebuilt it in the north either. This is a problem. If anything, he should be sneaking them up here, right? This is completely unguarded by GUA. So he could gather a lot on the northern front while distracting his opponent in the center. Failing to do so, though, and failing to miss a trick. Not failing to miss a trick, rather just missing a trick. Ragnar's Cathedral at least underway for HuT. 11 people working on it. Won't take him long. GUA, unlikely to tech up. Remember, we don't expect to see an England player in this situation with this dominance to be rushing the castle. Instead, he's trying to push his advantage in the feudal. But now a free galley stationed on the water. GUA, this is going to be worrying. As soon as the castle age is cracked by HRE, I think GUA is in a lot of trouble. He's not going to be able to scale. He has to keep matching the output of archer ships. You can see him trying to get into a fishing fleet now, but it's 1 dock versus the 2. And this should give HuT the edge to push him out. Yeah. You can see he's just kind of being funneled left and right, pushed away. Space created, really. And even with a home field divide, just too much damage done to this galley already means he's going to lose one first. And yeah, trying to produce more now, but I don't know how much you can do here. I mean, if I was HuT, I would just snipe the fishing boats right now. Because the fishing boats are going to make this so that the galley gets the trade on the other one, especially if this is a longbow. He's kind of missing the opportunity, so he'll just back off in the end. But it doesn't matter, right? He's got the tech up now. GUA will never be ready for this. And there it is. 4 stables straight away. HuT loves this opening. Immediately into castle, grabbing this. Prelate's already moving out across to the relics, which, by the way, 2 juicy relics here. Overall 3 on the side of the HRE player. Busted spawn in favor of him. And, well, GUA's got to be feeling a little bit scammed. He can at least guard this one on the south side, but if you just get a few horsemen out, which I expect him to, horsemen knights, send them over, you'll be able to raid this and secure the 3rd relic. And it's not even that big a deal if you don't get the 3rd relic. If you're HRE, your goal is to get 2. 2 is good enough. If your opponent denies you on 2, then your game gets uncomfortable. GUA, no switchover. This is the problem. He hasn't had eyeballs on the enemy base for a long time, remember, which means he's not going to anticipate that his opponent is going into a night rush. Maybe he's been up against HuT a decent amount. Maybe he's seen this before out of HuT. But without confirmation, he can't hard pivot interact, right? Because he needs to be producing this fishing fleet to play catch-up to get up now. And that's what he's looking to do. Tech up, underway. It is going to be the King's Palace behind, so he'll get a better scaling economy, at least until we think Imperial. If you allow HuT to reach Imperial, then he will completely outscale you as England. But I don't think HuT's even going to wait that long. 2 relics to be banked now. Knights already being sustained out of a few of these stables, at least 2 of them at a time. And just a handful of these will run you straight through. Because remember, because you did go rushing into this King's Palace, you forsook any other type of unit on land. It's just archers and archers alone. HuT trying to move down, gets the bad news, but he can snipe out the dock slowly but surely. With 3 of these galleys, it's actually fairly fast, as you can see there. He gives up in the end, backs away. Knights in the meantime rushing in. And straight away under the longbows. Clubs them down. No easy way to get away from this fast. Remember, longbows sluggish at that 1.12 movement speed per second. And straight away into the villagers. And he needs to hit them hard, right? Because there is a lot of villies here. And there's going to be a lot more with that King's Pass now in place. Now the stable being dropped. Not sure how you feel about this. The stable, like, yeah, you kind of match what the HRE player is doing, but you don't necessarily counter it out. Neither you get any specialist elements to your knights. So really, you don't get an edge against the HRE player if you're playing behind him into stables. And remember, he's definitely going to be ahead of you because his gold influx is so much better. Look at the income right now. It's 4 times higher at this stage than GUA's. And the food is so juicy as well. Like, you can't afford it. These raids are making it so you most definitely can't. And this mistake might cost GUA the game. The choice to go into the stables as opposed to going into the racks puts him at a sheer disadvantage now for this next 2 free fights. And wow, this move out of Heart. This is unorthodox. He's going for a secondary TC, seeing his opponent did boom up. If it wasn't for that move out of GUA, Hut would have been content on 1 TC. But now with the assistance of the water, having 2/3 of the river line in his control, and soon to be the full river line, as well as the fact that he also is going to have that second dock with 4 stables just pushing out knights, is putting him in a better position to outscale his opponent. Did I say dock? I meant TC, rather. But that secondary TC means he matches his opponent. And remember that the HRE's economy is much more efficient courtesy of the prelate buffs. And soon to be inefficient, not efficient in this situation. It's the fishing economy of GUA. As with the final galley going down and the boom ships coming in, he is not going to be long on this waterfront. And once he loses that, with the knights raiding in as well, this game might just be on lock for Hart. I just don't see a way right now. I think he cornered himself this stable. You just see it right now. Like, you've built it, but what are you doing with it? Barely getting knights out. Thumbs up. More thumbs down, my friend. You know, we did say that like, GUA is known for these quirky plays. He likes to think outside the box. But in this case, he's not outside the box. He's inside the box. And the box is actually a coffin. And it's a coffin of his own design. I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't even pivoted or called it. And I'm wondering what's going to convince him it's over, because he is miles behind Hart at this stage. And this transition over makes you very weak. And if he gets caught out, if he gets sniped on several of these villages, it might just be too big of a burden to overcome. And with these knights riding in, that might just be the case. There's 20 villages here, only room for 10. But luckily for him, he switches over to the longbowman last second. So looks like GUA is going to dodge a bullet for the moment. However, with this many knights now coming in, you're just outnumbered. And you can't keep up the production rate out of all 3 of these. But guess what? In Hut's base, yes, he can. He's even building up to 6 stables now. That will give him the stable output of knights to overwhelm GUA. He rides in onto the Villi line. GUA not able to afford a slowdown in his production at all. Realizes that it is done. Calls the GG. And look at the racks. That's the pain at the end. This is what he needed to begin with. Really well played by Hart. I absolutely adore this opening. It's so effective. We've seen him use it before against China even, and it completely overwhelms him. He understands his timings. He understands his power spike, and he plays for that 4 stable drop at the start of Castle Age, allowing him to rush out knights before his opponent is ready. Most civs can't compete with that. It's very hard unless you anticipate it. GUA should have seen it coming. He saw the early knights. What did he do? He went, that's fine. I'm just going to drop stables of my own. I can build knights too. I'm England. They're known for, like, knightly things. No. In this situation, you have to accept that you are static and you have to build spearmen. I know it's uncomfortable. I know you're playing against a superior mobility force that can juke you out and move around you. But you just need to hunker down, buy a little bit of time, and then push back on the waterfront. Because if you do that, if you hold, if you get to that stage where you can repel towards the fords at the water crossings, then you can lock your opponent out. And all these knights are worthless because, well, spearmen might be slow, but knights will have nowhere to go. Instead, he has nowhere to go. He gets choked out. He gets ran through. And Hart makes it look so damn easy when he mans those HREs.